Robots Go to Heaven. Novel. Written by S. Marso. S. Jefferson was appointed the scientific director of the Ariot laboratory, which was situated in an isolated location in the Sonoran Desert on the U.S. Mexico border. The reason for this selection remained unknown even after Ariot's subsequent destruction and authorities' acknowledgement of its existence as a laboratory for peaceful purposes. However, the Minister of National Security attributed the lab's destruction, in an official statement, to an engineered, self-replicating deadly bacterium that infected its workers, led by Dr. S. Jefferson. This compelled authorities to make the difficult decision following consultations with the Bureau of Investigations and the Disease Control and Prevention Conference. Consequently, the case was closed definitively, except for a memorial statue erected later for Dr. S. Jefferson, crafted from cheap white plaster and placed in a nondescript public square frequented only by a handful of outcasts, drug dealers, and fugitives, along with the fourth-class prostitutes. Nonetheless, the statue didn't stand long against the defiance of some hostile deviants. Its nose was severed on the first day, both hands were cut off the following morning, and its arms were shattered by the third day. By the fourth day, Dr. S. Jefferson stood resilient with only one leg remaining. Within a week, nothing of the memorial statue was left except for an inverted rear with a rusty iron stake embedded in it. Major newspapers considered S. Jefferson's death suspicious, a diversionary tactic to obscure the truth and silence the sole witness forever. These same newspapers pointed out in their front-page articles that Ariot, always written between quotation marks, was not merely a laboratory but an underground facility producing third-generation deadly biological weapons, designed to decisively end future wars on Earth. They also condemned the government's backtracking on its international commitments regarding the ban on biological and chemical weapons activities. Although the press and public opinion were swayed by these revelations about biological weapons, they bore no relation to the actual events. It was the Bureau of Investigations itself that disseminated these false narratives to the Fourth Estate, which typically drooled over national security issues. Indeed, the official scenario was nothing but a plan concocted by the Bureau of Investigations, hitting the bullseye and compelling the Minister of National Security to read an official statement prepared by the same Bureau of Investigations. This prompted the public to unravel the mystery, turn the situation on its head, analyze the facts, expose the falsehoods. The success of the investigation office was both brilliant and double-edged. It provided its citizens with a way to pass the time, particularly those diligent in leaking false news and addicted to spreading it. It also succeeded in moving the battle outside its operational circle, allowing it to focus on its true mission away from the noise of the curious. This mission was precisely why the investigation office surrounded S. Jefferson and his scientific team with tight security and complete secrecy, confining them to what was essentially house arrest, or an extraordinary secret detention with all the amenities of comfort. So much so that Dr. S. Jefferson's first assistant, Mr. A. Flat, of Arab descent, confided in his superior about his discontent and doubts, requesting him to contact the higher authorities to lift the siege imposed on Ariot. He justified his request by asserting that the development of robots was no longer classified as a state secret. In the face of S. Jefferson's indifference, he even threatened to send a letter signed in his name and capacity as the first assistant. Dr. A. Flat, whose original name was Abbas, was a balanced man, clear as a mirror, reflecting everything around him with a purity that made his colleagues in the lab, despite their deep respect for him, avoid him to escape seeing their small flaws and to evade his candid and sharp remarks that stung like a bee's sting. That evening, he activated his role as Jefferson's assistant, forgetting that Ariot's military director had drawn clear boundaries that prohibited anyone from even thinking about something as audacious as an external world or higher authorities, let alone violating the rules of the game within this world called Ariot, where no other world existed. The next morning, Ab was found hanging in his room, in what appeared to be a meticulously planned suicide, down to the written note explaining that the suicide was a solitary decision executed by the first assistant in full consciousness.